Have you ever questioned why do you receive information on your social media or search engines that might be accurate to your social, cultural, and political affiliation? Or you ever wonder why do you tend to have more approaches with your friends that have your same opinions? The echo chambers and filter bubbles are the theories that suggest the data produced of your research, behavioral reactions, backgrounds, and multiple consumed elements could be synthesized into algorithmic sequencing. That sequencing could create an isolation groups and a filtration of the information. Today, we're going to analyze how those concepts performance and have a negative impact, such as segmentation of population. It also will provide some arguments against of this existency, and finally, we will give it a conclusion. So let's start with a few definitions. The first notion of echo chambers and filter bubble was postulated by Nicolas Negroponte in 1995 with the concept of the LME, where he says that effective personalization of information could be not essential to human gatekeepers in the future as it is needed in other information scenarios. For him, echo chambers, it is a set of experience and in self and unanticipated and even unwanted exposure to device topics, people, and ideas. On the other hand, filter bubbles were added by Elite Pastier in 2011, who conceived those spheres as an effort to personalize, search to address, and given users likely interest. The result is the creation of a personalized bubble where the users are enclosed and narrows the information selection under their pre-existing judgments. To this current media ecology that society is living now, the main concern at this stage is the social and political fragmentation for ideas, values, and belief that could be threatened the established democracy. This fragmentation could be perceived in a political choices. For instance, in the paper exposure to obscene views on social media can increase political polarization, published in 2018, it demonstrates how the American population are deeply divided in controversial issues such as inequality, gun control, and immigration. For those who have a pre-existing position, social media plays an important role. The experiment conducted was designed to examine where this disruptive selective exposure to participant information among Twitter users shaped their political attitudes. This research tried to prove three hypotheses. The first one is that this disrupting selective exposure to participant information will be decreased political polarization because of the intergroups connect effects. The second one, there is a relative anonymity of social media forums that embolden people to act in an uncivil manner. And exposure to opposing political views might create a backfire effects to exacerbate political polarization. Finally, the backfire effects will more likely to occur among conservative than deliberate.
And finally, the backfire effect will more likely to occur among the conservative than liberals. The structure was based in the simulation process with the Republicans and Democrats have to answer one survey in an initial point, then hear some recommendation, have a weekly survey, and finally post one. The result were that the user could be more predictable. Their response could be more accurate to their previous liberal and conservative thought, although traded to Democrats who exhibited a slightly more liberal attitude post-treatment that increased in size with the level of complaints. None of these effects were exactly significant. Treated Republican contrast exhibited substantially more conservative views post-treatment. This effect is also increased with the level of complaints, but they are also highly significant. On the other hand, user in different platform could be slightly created a set of censorship response for polarized topics. In terms of the echo chambers and filter bubble, those ethical and political corrected choice could be a funnel for segmentation of opinions. Of the main concern of this is how policies applied, for example in Facebook, where users dissound those algorithms regulation and user might not care, they are confronted by a freely sharing and connecting atmosphere where the platform becomes into a moral and ethical custodian for some concerns of human society and leading to swap away. This is based on the book that's called Custodians of Internet, Platform Content Moderation and the Hidden Decision That Shapes Social Media by Tarleton Giuseppe in 2018.
Furthermore, search engines like Google shaping the algorithms according cyber stereotypes on population, which might help in an unconscious way the reproduction and stabilize those already existing narratives in population. It holds a lot of powers what is behind of the algorithms and the way that they shape it set of public opinion. Perhaps this political nature of sourcing demonstrates how algorithms are so fundamental as way of human designs, and those code language are full of meaning. Perhaps there's no certain of equally population that knows how to could change those codes. For example, segregated population like colored people or women could benefit tremendously how those codings create more inclusive way of understand those cyber spaces and destroy this segmentation and these generalized ideas of how population should be or how it looks like. Some of the arguments against of the existence of echo chambers and filtered bubbles are postulated by Axel Burns, which says that rigorous empirical evidence for the operation of such processes is sorely lacking of evidence. They're building in empirical studies, which is no significance. And the source on social media argues that the echo chambers and filter bubble principally constitute an unfounded moral panic that presents a combined technology scapegoat, which is source on social platforms and their affordance and the algorithms for much critical problem. The problem behind is the growing of social and political polarization, which is a phenomenon that might be more attached of the basis of society rather than a problem that could be enforced by the technology gadget. As we've been discussing, echo chambers and filter bubbles, it's a phenomenon that is created by the consumption of every single user through the digital platforms. However, some of these information that is posted and uploaded to those platforms is not only related to the behavioral and the click information provided by the users, it's also shaped by the way of algorithms works for select that information and displayed it in the news feed of those platforms. Perhaps there is a set of lack of evidence to prove how those echo chambers really have an effect on those digital atmospheres, because many of the resources based on a methodological way, which is surveys, and still be very not accurate for looking for the effects of those phenomena. It needs to be a different type of methodological way to understand how those echo chambers could be created. Another reason is that Not all the topics that create debates in a really radical way needs to necessarily attach an echo chamber sensation. Maybe topics that are a little bit slightly in a middle debate section could be also create a segregation and a segmentation of the exposures of the topics that the people could have, because could be create a grave area that is not solved yet. Thank you for watching.